Thank you. Thanks everybody for letting me know that I was muted. Or thanks some human. Thanks some human for letting me know I was muted. It does help for me to have the microphones on in order to be heard by the people to whom I'm speaking. So as you may notice, I am foreman host Eric today with um, my hard hat on here. It says Senior Subcontractors Administrators I.W.A. Boone Jr. I got this hat at a yard sale today for $5. Pretty cool, huh? Now, if I am going to engage in any kind of construction work that potentially could result in head injuries from heavy objects falling, well, I'll be really glad I got this. I also can wear it when I go up into the attic where I frequently bump my head, or if I'm working in the basement where, again, I frequently bump my head. So, as a quick change of subject from what was weighing heavily on me 5 seconds ago, which is the difficulty I'm having with Kimberly as far as communicating with her effectively about things. So I was watching this video called What to Do When Your Partner Constantly Blames You. And the interesting thing, of course, is Kimberly thinks that everything that she's doing, I'm doing it back to her, or I'm doing the same thing. I insist I'm not doing the same thing, but this means I'm blaming her, right? So it's a tricky question. What to do if your partner constantly blames you is a real question, but you're going to be blaming them for constantly blaming you unavoidably. There's no getting around that apparent catch-22. It's not one. It's just that if one partner is constantly blaming the other and not ever taking accountability for anything and not ever accepting that they're wrong, then they've got a serious problem of some sort, and it needs to be addressed. And it's gonna sap the spiritual energy from the person who's being abused thusly, and it's kind of like a form of abuse, frankly. Anyway, we watched this video about chronically difficult people, and people are always blaming the other partner, and people always have to win. And you might think I'm the person who always has to win in this relationship. That is not the case. Kimberly's the one who always has to win. I frequently acknowledge things all the time. That's one of the reasons why we had this blow up tonight is I wanted to talk to her about the way she was talking to me, which was disrespectfully and unacceptably. And I wanted to do so peaceably. So I showed her this video, and then we showed a couple of videos of things men do that piss women off. I responded to those things, talked about where I could take some accountability, demonstrated how one deals with that kind of shit. And then when the conversation turned to her, I just couldn't get one speck of accountability for anything. I mean, this is the problem. It's not like a matter of degree. It's a matter of kind. She's not less accountable than most. She's not accountable at all. So that's a problem I'm having in the relationship. I'm trying to fix it, or basically not accountable at all. Every once in a while, she'll be accountable for something. If the heat gets pushed on hard enough. The thing is, I'm quite confident she's not trying to be so difficult, you know? It's just sort of habitual, or it's the result of some sort of damage she sustained or something like that. By the way, if anybody who's viewing wishes to ask any questions, make any statements, or otherwise contribute to the chat, I will respond to the chat accordingly as people write into the chat. I'm just musing about what's on my mind in the interim because nobody's put anything. And if there's a problem with the chat, I don't know how you can let me know that, but that would be nice to be let know if I could be let know that. So if anyone is willing to put a couple things in the chat so I can see that there is not a problem, that'd be helpful too. Okay. So I'm talking a little bit about my recent, just concluded, like just minutes before I came on to the live stream, fight with Kimberly, which involved me picking up this metal thing right here and smashing it into the ground in dramatic fashion, and then smashing it into the grill of this thing, which is now all bent. I don't know if you can see it bent or not, but yeah, I bent it in because I smashed it with this thing because I was so angry. As I've said before in videos, and I'll say it again, I've never in my life met anybody who has the capacity to make me more angry than Kimberly does. Just shockingly angry, so much so that I bang metal things into other metal things. You know, thank you, some human. I appreciate it. I'm an IPAN. Wonder if she grew up in an environment where she had to apologize for things that weren't her fault and thus developed an aversion to taking responsibility. I don't think you're making a leap there. I don't know if that's exactly the mechanics of it, but she definitely grew up in an environment in which she experienced some abuse, or at least neglect, and I'd say emotional abuse. So that's why it should happen. So what are we fighting over? Her just abject refusal to be accountable for anything. So I was trying to talk to her about, like, we had gone down to the we were driving the Mini down to the shop to get it fixed. And as we're driving down there, I mean, she was driving me down to the shop to pick up the Mini from having been fixed. And as we're driving down there, she spoke very disrespectfully to me on a couple of different successive occasions about the car, about other things, and just generally, like, you know, shitting on me and being blamey and stuff like that. So I wanted to try to talk to her about that. Well, when I finally did all the groundwork to get us ready to have a conversation about something like that, where, you know, it begins with me taking accountability for some things because she can't even begin to think about it being about her primarily, you know. And then, you know, when I expressed I didn't like being talked to like that, her justification for it was, well, you have a long history of running cars into the ground and treating them like shit and not taking care of things, so I have every reason to doubt you're going to take care of this car properly, and blah, blah, blah. A bunch of other bullshit like that. And it's just more blaming, right? So when she speaks to me disrespectfully, it's my fault because I'm inadequate in some way. And this is a constant pattern. There's no accountability on her end for anything. So, you know, I don't know what to do with it about it exactly, but it doesn't seem to do any good to talk to her. She seems unable to reconcile reality with her feelings. As her example of me running a car into the ground, she pointed to the Scion that I have out there. And what made me so angry was, she said, well, the Scion being broken down right now, which is not, it runs. The problem with that is indicative of a problem with you, Eric, and your caregiving of cars, and that's why it was appropriate for me to speak so disrespectfully to you about it. Except for the fact that she knows why that car is not operational right now. It's because the cops broke it when they pulled me over in Oklahoma and they put the car onto the lift. They broke the rack and pinion. It was a nightmare. And it blew out all the sensors underneath the tire well, so I couldn't get it smog checked without paying a large amount of money. I've explained all this shit to her before many times what the situation with the car was. She's ignoring that to try to say that car is an example of the reason it's having problems right now, with it sitting in our driveway rather than something else, is because I didn't take care of it. Sensors blew out underneath the tires when the cops broke my car. She knows all this. So that's why I got so furious. And, you know, she'll never accept accountability for it. That's why I get so fucking furious. And I walked into this determined not to get angry, too. Really planning to stay calm. But she's good at pissing me off. In the last live stream, he asked, what are you supposed to think about because my name choice? It refers to what I'm talking about, or the idea of what I'm talking about. So it's only applicable in any given instance when you comment. It's not a general rule that persists beyond the duration of your comment. Is that what you're saying? That makes sense. Okay, I can accept that. So obviously, I need to figure out some way where I can manage to successfully not be baited. You know, she's going to say some bullshit and blame me in some bullshit way. I'm gonna have to be assertive without getting angry. Hi, Between Two Worlds. I'm live streaming right now at the moment, complaining about Kimberly and the fight we just had and the way she acts and the bullshit she pulls. So, yeah. Well, I don't, you know, this is the thing. I don't need a mediator, and she doesn't either. What she needs to do is to start listening to me and be humble, accept some responsibility, take a chance, trust me. It's that simple. Maybe a mediator would help that too. Maybe a mediator help her to accept that. What do you think she wanted to get from me through that argument? She just wanted to, when I was going to talk to her about her speaking disrespectfully to me, she played offense and defense only. No cooperation ever. There's never any cooperation when it comes to talking about our problems. It's either all me or we're not talking about it. So that's the thing. I tried to talk about something she had done that I found it unacceptable. I tried to set some boundaries, as I frequently enough do. I have to be careful because I open myself up to the critique. Well, you're always telling her there's something wrong with her but the thing is, I'm responding to the bullshit she's saying to me. It's not acceptable to be talking to me like that. Okay, do I have a weak internet connection? Hopefully it'll strengthen here. I don't know. There's nothing really I can do to try to strengthen it, so I'll just sort of write it out, and hopefully it comes in clean enough soon enough. If anybody has any cognitive function questions or other thoughts or whatever, please do put them in the chat. I will answer them. She needs to be different. Maybe she should be, but this is who she is now. She doesn't need to be different, but I do need to set boundaries and say, no, you can't talk to me like that, because I'm not going to simply become a doormat, right? I'm not gonna simply accept being treated poorly or being spoken to poorly on a regular basis without some kind of response. Maybe my current response is inappropriate, but it's equally inappropriate to say I shouldn't respond at all. I should just allow it to continue to happen and put up with it. That's not appropriate either. So, I mean, give me some alternatives besides that. I don't know. Peace, Eric. Which cognitive function is responsible for perspective? Perspective, like in drawing? There'd be some sort of spatial representation, probably NI. Perspective, like having different perspectives in the world. Well, they're all responsible for that. The function is linked to values by a specific kind of matrix that relates to slot. And so, each slot has a different kind of valuing, basically. The dominant slot's implicit. And, okay, well, but Thecla A, I'm saying she needs to stop abusing me. So, I mean, yes, she does need to stop abusing me. Yes, she does need to stop speaking to me as though I were a piece of shit on the bottom of her shoe. Yes, she does need to stop blaming me for all these things. Yes, she does. But I'm not saying she needs to do things. I'm saying she needs to stop doing things. If not able to stop, then she needs to have those conversations with me, for sure, in a way that is productive. I have found that those who willingly and resentfully become doormats get offended when others don't become doormats like them. Not sure if this is relevant or an observation. I would assume it's not a relevant observation in this instance. I'm not saying that Thecla A, you're a doormat or anything. I'm just saying that it's easy, very easy in a situation like this for everybody to assume, look, all relationship problems are he said, she said. It's a split of responsibility. Both parties are at fault, blah, 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 as a default assumption. But what I'm saying is that's not the case. I'm trying to fix a genuine problem, and I'm having lots of problems in the process of fixing it. Do I need to fix it? Yes. Is that presumptuous somehow of me? No, because I want to be in this relationship. I want to be with Kimberly, and I also don't want to put up with bullshit. Have I considered converting to Islam? No. I'm going to refrain from converting to Islam. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa yourself, Angang Tari or Senpai. That's what I had a debater that the other kids called Senpai, which means, I guess, like student who teaches the other students or something. They never called me Sensei, though. They called me Strauss or Eric or retard, fuckhead, something like that. Hey, shit for brains. I'm trying to win a debate match over here. What are you doing? Smoking weed? Get over here. I'm not saying you should just lie down and take it, but talking about all the ways she needs to change isn't useful. You don't control her actions. Well, I don't control her actions, but I do control my boundaries, and I have to respond in some way. And I could simply respond by, say, getting dirty and trying to punish her every time without saying anything, passive aggressive style, and hope she gets the message. But I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to change the behavior. It's unacceptable. That's it. You know, she doesn't have any legs to stand on here. Her behavior is unacceptable, and she needs to fucking change it. Sensei means teacher. Okay, I thought that's what it meant. Senpai is kind of like your superior, older students. Okay, I'm not really sure what it means. It's Japanese, I think. I mean, when I'm like, hold up, let me consider this. Oh, well, I can see why they would think that if I were them. Perspective. Okay, well, there's two kinds of perspective in that regard, and they come from FI or TI. So TI presumes all perspectives get to be judged on their merits outside of the individual saying them. So it doesn't carry any burden from coming from you or coming from somebody else or coming from my hated enemy Joe or my beloved friend Tom. The argument is going to be deemed correct or incorrect based on its merits, not based on any personal thing. So in that regard, recognizing that different perspectives have equal validity, at least in terms of evaluating them. And it's true that your responses to Kim may be inappropriate. I recommend you enforce boundaries and let it be loud and clear. Best way to help a person with trust complexes is to lead by example. It's hard, man. It's really hard to lead somebody with love when they're attacking you a lot. I think a girl likes me, but I have polar NE. Do I take the shot? Yes. If you have polar NE, you should be an ISTP. You already know the answer to that. Take the shot. Or you're an ISFP, in which case, trust your feelings. Don't listen to that guy, LMAO. Senpai has sexual connotations. I doubt it did with my debaters. It's like middle school boys mostly, and some of the girls. Don't play passive aggressive. I agree. I shouldn't play passive aggressive. ISFJs are relentless. They'll see this as weakness and simply keep talking shit. I don't want to do that passive aggressive style. I'm going to set boundaries, and she needs to fucking come to heel, frankly. She needs to just break and go, okay, fine. I'm stubborn as fuck, and it's time for me to listen to you. How do we reconcile all the MBTI and various different Jungian-based personality recommendations of relationship parents? Well, I don't know what the various different recommendations are. I do know that Socionics recommends being with your dual, and I agree with that. I think a dual is a natural pairing, and you're meant to be with a dual, at least in alpha quadra. I don't know if I agree with that for the other quadras because I've seen it fail in other quadras. And no, yeah, I'm not going to be passive aggressive between two worlds. I was just saying it's like that's the alternative to what I'm doing. I'm being direct. I'm talking to her about it. I'm trying to be patient, but she's extremely good at infuriating me. No, it's not okay to punch them in the face, Vladimir Kotrov. Hambone wishes he could help, but he doesn't have much experience with relationships. Yeah, well. When you said TE is experiential interface, what do you mean by that? Well, it's experiential interface in the sense that FE is metaphysical interface. So what that means is you're interfacing with a social system via objective representations of other people's feelings, little objects relating to what this person's action was, how it links to that feeling, whether it was causally related, how that impacts social hierarchy stuff, and yada, yada, yada. That's a metaphysical interface. The physical interface or experiential interface is one where you actually have the problem and you're able to engage in an interface type engagement with something. So an action type engagement, acts, puts information, and then checks. A knowledge interface function pairing goes put information, check, know about it. Know about it, put, check, know about it. Know about it, put, check, know about it. Know about it, put, check, know about it. It does that over and over again, basically. Like, so it's constantly updating. It's for real time. It's the space where real time and metaphysical turn-based sort of mush together, such that if I'm doing a project where I'm fixing a doorknob or something, I know that step 1 comes before step 5, and they got to go in steps order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a metaphysical understanding of what the problem in front of me is. But I also know that if I, in the process of breaking that at step 2 or something, I broke one piece of the metal off, well, then I'm going to have to get a new doorknob. I can't just replace this one or fix this one. And so then my problems change. Then TE becomes good to recognize that, no, don't try to make this broken doorknob work. Go get a new one, for example. So in that regard, TE is experiential interface in that it is dealing with the actual experience in front of you of the problem. It's easiest to talk about TE with physical fixing problems, but it's also true for metaphysical fixing problems, such as making lesson plans for teachers. It would be an example of a TE process of communication almost. So a TE of teaching a class might involve breaking the period of time into 15-minute chunks and doing a series of different activities. And executing that process is SE, but the coming up with a process that works best given the group and given the what you're trying to accomplish and yada, 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 that's TE. And then explaining that algorithmically to another person, that's also basically TE. So when you're dealing with problems like that, it's still an interface situation. It's just more slow in its interface. You're still dealing with real world experiential data. You watch the sub teach the class with these lesson plans, you realize the lesson plans don't work because of the actual experiential data, and you adjust them according to what you're actually seeing. Versus FE, which goes, okay, well, they don't think highly of me anymore because of this thing I did that I'm concluding probably means they perceive me like this now. So that thing is not really ever going to be verified because you're doing all these sort of social games mostly without talking about it explicitly. So it's something where it's much more turn-based in its nature, but they can be turn-based in its practice for both ends. Regardless, the interface function is interface because it's reactive in that pseudo real-time kind of capacity where it goes, here's a change, here's my reaction, here's what I know about it, here's a change, I'm judging it, now I'm going to act, now I'm going to know. It does all that stuff. So that's why TE and FE both do that. Between worlds, ISFJ, ESFJ, I don't know what that means, between worlds. My wife has a boyfriend. Is this okay and normal? No, it's not. Unless that boyfriend is you, no. You need to leave her immediately because she's cheating on you. Get evidence so she doesn't take money from you. Bring her on Ken. Let's solve this together. I agree. I'll see if I can. I'll text her. She probably won't come in here. She won that, and that's exactly what she wants to do. She wants to piss me off until I react badly, so she wins it. So she doesn't have to admit anything. It's frustrating. Hey, Kim, why don't you come live stream with me? We can work out our difficulties. What is the stereotypical INTP Enneagram? 5-4, 5-4-1, probably. That'd be the most stereotypical. No, it's not okay or normal. I've noticed ENTPs when upset, rather than just feeling the emotion, it's like they fixate on the stress of thinking of the conflict when they can't think of a solution. It's okay to be in your feels. Well, that's something I've actually learned from Kimberly. Is she's told me before that it's important for me to sit with my feelings sometimes and not feel the need to solve everything so that the feelings go away. But there's a certain amount of, I mean, I don't know why. I think it's because she's what this psychologist lady calls a chronically difficult person. And another way to put it is she says it's a hijackal, which means they just want to win and they just never want to lose. And they've got what she said, they have two walls of emotions going at the same time, one being offense, one being defense. And they're very much concerned if anything ever gets through there, they would break them because they have fragile self-ego or something like that. Have I tried mooning her? No, I probably should. Let's see, being in my fields doesn't do me any good, Jane Subsinski. You got to remember that I am polar FI. There are times when it helps me to try to be in my feelings anyway for a little while. But the thing is, I don't tend to look to my feelings as any sort of guidance. So if I'm feeling sad and resentful and whatever else about Kimberly, I don't think from that, oh, okay, well, maybe this isn't the right relationship, or maybe I think, okay, this needs to be different. You know, she needs to behave like a loving person. Because I don't like having feelings and I want them to go away. I'm an INTP married to an ENTJ for 18 years. Thoughts, questions? Huh. I do have some thoughts and questions. I have some questions for you, actually. So, how does, in theory, INTP seeks FE. They seek FE validation and a lot of help with, you know, feeling good about themselves and feeling as though their intelligence and their work is appreciated. I want to know if ENTJ female does that enough for you, or if it's a point of contention. I'll get to your question in a second, Angang Kier. I think I'd KMO. Are cucks a real thing? Yeah, cucks are a real thing. And something I tell Kimberly periodically. Kimberly, you make me feel like a cuck sometimes. You treat me like one, and I don't appreciate it, and it's not okay. You know, I'm not your little bitch. You need to respect me, and I will respect you. And we need to be positive to each other and not blame each other for things, but work together as teammates. Good. The idea from MBTI about clumping functions together to form a general idea of thinking, feeling, intuition, and sensing be improved upon to make a better system of it, or should it be scrapped? Clumping functions together to form a general idea of thinking, feeling, intuition, and sensing? No, I think it should be scrapped. I think instead you should say we should I think that we should talk about it in terms of different kinds of functions: action, judgment, interface, knowledge. I think that's the best way to talk about it, or at least to start with the metaphysical and physical plane and go, okay, well, we need to distinguish between those two things. Start there. It's starting in the wrong spot. Do you think having polar FI might play a role in many of your arguments? I don't know. I mean, I think polar FI typically saves me from difficulty in arguments because I usually am pretty detached from whatever it is I'm saying. And it's not going to get me upset. Kimberly is uniquely able to get me upset because she's my relationship partner and I have expectations, right? So both of us come into the relationship with expectations. My expectations are reasonable and healthy expectations. I expect my partner to behave lovingly towards me, to speak lovingly towards me, to be cooperative with me, to be a teammate, to work with me, to not always want to put me down and criticize me and bust my chops and be a ball buster. I'm not going to put up with it. At the same time, because my polar FI, I'm probably not going to leave. I've explained this to her before. I don't leave relationships. I bring the hammer until the other person either fixes themselves or leaves, until it becomes unbearable for them. I will not leave. I will adapt and adjust where appropriate, and I will not where not appropriate, and you will adapt and adjust where appropriate, or I will continue to hammer the fucking point. And that's my ultimatum. There's no ultimatum beyond that. Or I will continue to hammer it. I will continue to talk to you about it. I will continue to bother you about it. I will continue to ask you to explain why it is you think it's okay to do this. You know? Say it makes you detached, and that's exactly what I was thinking would be the problem. No, it's not the problem. The problem is now I'm not detached enough. I'm much too emotional. I fucking freak out at her. So, which personality type should an ENTP never marry? ESFP. ENTP should never marry ESFP. That would be a disaster. Or ENFP. That would be a disaster. They are, but they also struggle with their own self-esteem. It's a direct, if you ask me. What is? I don't know what you're talking about. ENTJs are hard shell on the outside and all squishy on the inside. Not for your well-being, but to kind of show that you care deeply. She knows I care deeply. And I tell her that. And I'm not withholding emotionally at all. I'm affectionate. I'm open in my communication with her. I try to make positive narratives. I try to do what she suggests I should do. I try to adapt. Detached isn't necessarily a great avenue. I agree with you. It's not normally. In this instance, I need to be more detached. Dismissive. When I tell her her behavior hurts me, I get a little bit more of a response, but it's more along the lines of, "Oh, great, here comes the crybaby again. Now you're gonna yeah." She tries to attack my vulnerability, but the thing is, I'm not really. I'm genuinely vulnerable in those moments, but I'm not actually vulnerable per se, because I understand it for what it is. I'm much less vulnerable for being willing and able to show vulnerability, and for being able to withstand the attack thereupon, and withstand and maintain self-esteem and stuff. And her inability to display vulnerability is the show of actual deep vulnerability. But the fact that she's deeply vulnerable, it's very difficult for me to be compassionate about when it always expresses in attacks on me. And, it's like, I do need to be more detached, because the only way I'm going to, I think, really get through this message, she does have an avoidant attachment style. Well, it's not avoidant. It's, she has that one, and it's ambivalent or something, where it's like she demands a bunch of attention and she gets it and she's petulant about it. That one. Well, I'm not inherently opposed to therapy, okay? I think it probably would do us some good. It seems like it's not addressing the obvious problem that's right in front of us, which is she needs to trust me, period. She needs to trust me. And there's no other way to explain it except she has to take that chance and give up the ghost and trust me. Right. Well, I mean, I don't put up with it is the problem that she has. And she doesn't have any way to deal with that because it's not working. Any of her tricks don't work. She's got shit tons of tricks. They don't work. I see through it all. I call her on that shit, and I'm not letting it happen. It would look like murder-suicide. Poo-poo pee-pee, man. Trusting someone is okay, well, but it is a choice. Now, granted, natural trust, implicit trust, where you're not even thinking about it, that's not a choice. But that's not the kind of trust that requires courage either. The kind of trust requires courage is to choose to act as though you trust, even though you don't. And that's what she is responsible to do, period. Yeah, I'm both FI polar and a crybaby. I definitely am. And it definitely is possible to be that. If you were raised with it in a very loving environment, you don't really have a problem showing yourself crying and showing vulnerability or anything. So I'm a crybaby, Delilah's a crybaby too. We both burst into tears about shit that makes us emotional. Why? Well, because we were both raised in very loving environments and we were very well cared for and very affirmed consistently throughout our upbringings. From what I've seen, ongoing DBT is the most effective treatment. Isn't it CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy? I think you might have pushed D by accident. I don't agree with your way of typing. I believe you were an obnoxious INFJ. Oh, Is It Lucky is here. Is It Lucky likes to come and troll sometimes. Yeah. Listen, Is It Lucky? You've got 1/1,000,000th the capacity to get under my skin that Kimberly has. So it's already a lost cause for you. DBT is different, dialectical behavioral therapy. I like the name of it. I like the idea of using dialectic. There is a competitive dynamic. It didn't start out that way. The reality is I don't go into a relationship competitive at all, and I don't think relationships should be competitive. It's not a fucking battle. We should be teammates. We should be working together. If something bad happens, like the car's check engine light comes on, we turn to each other and go, okay, well, what are we going to do about this? You don't immediately just start shitting on your partner and blaming him. You know? I said, yeah, exactly. Okay, so say I need you to respect me. I do say that. And she redirects, she projects, she puts shit on me. It's always my fault. So when she started shitting on me in the car about going to get the car when we were going to pick it up, it's my fault because of my history of not taking care of cars. None of which she's been party to, by the way, right? So this is something she heard purportedly from Delilah about how I didn't take care of cars in the past, and that justifies her shitting on me about something that's beyond either our control. I mean, look, I get trolling. It's just that Is It Lucky doesn't do a very interesting job of it, you know. I like trolling some myself if it's lighthearted and fun and whatever. But Is It Lucky is just, he's doing a very ham-fisted job of it. Therapy will cause you to have bigger conversations that are being avoided consciously and unconsciously on both sides. I agree with you that having a scheduled time where we have to talk in front of a third party would be a good thing, because she's much better behaved and much more reasonable when other people are watching. Dude, not healthy. This is common. I think you know what the answer is. What are you saying? That I should leave or something? Roses are red, violets are blue. I hate ignorance, and so should you. And no, I'm not saying you're being ignorant. I just find this sentence funny. Okay. A good therapist with stars on either side of him. That sounds like post-traumatic stuff. Past traumatic stuff manifesting. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I lived with someone with borderline for several years. She was most tolerable when she was in regular therapy. Okay, well, that's good to know. With an audience. Kim's like that WWE wrestler grabs a chair halfway through the match. Oh, good, Jewel, you're here. Well, I think she does. She doesn't agree with me. And I mean, I would therefore say the issue is in dispute. But I don't know how else. If not BPD, she at least has that ambivalent attachment style issue, which is, I'm glad you're here too, Batman. I'm Batman, you suck. And you too, Matthew. I mailed your shirt today, by the way, Matthew. So yeah, she's got residual issues related to trauma from her childhood, I believe. Whether or not she agrees with that, I don't know. When I was arguing with her about whether or not there's any label that we can use here to describe the situation, and she didn't really want to, what she came up with when I finally sort of had it pinned that these behaviors are unacceptable, and we can see in this video that they agree with me, her answer was that she was emotionally abusive. Like, that's better somehow, you know? I said, okay, well, can you stop, please? And of course, that was on the issue of, there was a time period where she frequently, like, threatened to break up with me and stuff, or it's like, if we had a fight, she'd say, well, fine then, let's just end it. Let's just end the relationship. And that sort of stuff is totally emotionally abusive, unacceptable ultimatum stuff. And, you know, I think I have successfully, this is the thing, in general, she's gotten better. We've adapted. She's adapted somewhat. She doesn't behave the same as badly as she did before, but she still hasn't ever reconciled things back to an equilibrium where She's acknowledged the things she needs to acknowledge, and she's not been willing to work with me at all. Because working with me means acknowledging, compromising to some extent, and she's not willing to do that at all. So it's an incredibly difficult situation for me. She loves to evoke from me reactions that make it easy to blame me. So like this most recent fight, and it was me picking up this metal thing and smashing it on the ground and smashing it into this heater and screaming at her and stuff. Well, that's going to be her narrative now. She's going to work that narrative. She's going to move the conversation away from what we needed to talk about in the first place again, because she can't tolerate that. She can't tolerate being the focus of what's going on that's wrong. It's always blaming me, and then that's fine. And so she's trying to evoke really bad responses out of me so that she can continue to blame me and not have to deal with anything. She's got so many defenses you can't even begin to think about it. She's unbelievably defensive and fearful and untrusting. And the thing is, what she doesn't seem to understand is she can change these things. She doesn't accept that. She wants to then position it when I do get any ground from her at all, it's positioned as, well, that's just how I am, and you're trying to change me. Okay, well, but you're always trying to change shit that I do. You're always criticizing me. You're always blaming me, and I'm always at least attempting, in some extent, if you have some legitimacy, to find the legitimacy and to make the adaptations where appropriate. In contrast, you do not afford me the same courtesy. Not now, not ever. Okay, well, she needs to take that chance, is the thing, Nero. And Nero says, acknowledging her faults suggests humility from her and trust in you, which is definitely the problem. If she has BPD or something relating to it, it's obvious she's afraid you'll use it against her. When I do use her, I do be vulnerable. I have led by example many times. I'm the one who displays vulnerability in this relationship. When I get really frustrated, I start just sort of crying, and then she gets mad at me for it because it's, like, from her opinion, an unfair tactic or something. But it's not. It's genuine. But she doesn't even know what it's like to be genuinely vulnerable in front of somebody. Yeah, it does seem unfair how I deal with this. It does seem unfair. How do I deal with it? It's a matter of, with a certain amount of relentlessness. She feels as though I'm constantly on the lookout, so anytime she messes up, I'm going to jump on her. But I mean, the thing is that she's messing up with is saying fucking shitty, disrespectful things to me. She's not too busy to deal with these things. She's too stubborn. Too stubborn to deal with them. Too proud to go, okay, this time, Eric, I'm going to listen to you and learn from you. And I'm going to be the one who puts on the learner's hat. I'm going to trust you to take us where we need to go on this issue here or something. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to look to you for guidance. Okay, well, how should we talk through this conversation then, Eric? I think you're an INFJ, Matthew. Like I told you, I think right at the beginning almost. The fight's her defense. How bad can I act before he leaves me? He'll give up on me too. Yeah, I know there's that element to it as well, Rebecca. But see, the thing is, I need her to acknowledge that then. The solution is always truth. The solution is never running from the truth. So if that's the case, then admit that. And then we can work on it. You know? The answer is always going to be the same. This is why I don't like the idea of going to a therapist. The answer is always the same. Kimberly doesn't need to trust and listen to a therapist. She needs to trust and listen to me. Oh. Yeah, she does. I mean, this is the thing. I've always said the following thing. Reasonable people should never disagree because reasonable people can talk anything out, find out exactly where the disagreement lies, parse it out, determine who's correct about those given things, or at least determine exactly which thing they can't reach agreement on and narrow it down to that, resolving other ancillary matters around it. But if you can't be reasonable, then how can I get you to agree with me? Someone once told me to deal with people like that, it's almost better to use reverse psychology on them. Like if they're trying to hurt you, front that you enjoy being treated that way, fire with fire. That requires a lot of like strategy, which I would hope I wouldn't have to employ, but I guess I do. Why do I love her? Well, there's a lot of things I love about this relationship for sure. And the answers are many. I love the way that she interfaces with me on the channel. I think she's great in her interactions with people on the channel and in participating in the videos. And I love that. It's better than I'd ever hoped it would be in terms of that. In terms of, if you want to be properly typed, you can pay me. My current cost, my new cost is $100. Okay. Kimberly and a couple other people have got on me and said, look, Eric, your price is $100. Stop telling people you'll do it for cheaper or whatever. So my price is $100. You can email me at suartscire@gmail.com. That's Eric Strauss backwards. SSUARTSCIRE@gmail.com. And if in fact you do email me, then I will email you Kimberly's PayPal address. She uses PayPal, and I'll schedule those typing sessions with you. I currently have 2 people who I have to go talk to an email tonight and schedule their typing sessions. So I am getting more people contacting me to type them. I'd be happy to do it with you as well. It'll be worth $100. Okay. You'll get my full attention for well over an hour, and I will do everything in my power to give you a satisfactory explanation as well as a type. I'm able to answer all your questions you have. I'm interested in you disagreeing with stuff and challenging me is fine. I can answer all the questions is the point. I have the answers to everything. So if you want to get typed by me, I think I'm the best person to type you. That's what I think. Obviously, I'm biased in that matter, but I believe that to be the case because I think I understand cognitive functions best. So I am doing that, and you'll get at least 75 minutes for your $100, and it's memorable, right? Something you can talk about for a long time, and you'll walk around thinking about it for a while because you'll hear a lot of different things from me. You'll have my full attention and insight directed at you for the full period of time. And you think about it, like you probably spend $100 taking a couple people out to dinner. It's worth it. This will last in your memory a lot longer than that. Okay, so what do you think about Aaron? Jewel, I like Aaron. He's cool. He didn't make me think ENTP, though. Sure he's not ISFJ? I think he's ENTP. I'll tell you why. It just goes to show you how a Negro makes a big difference. He's ENTP because of the way he ideates and the way he interacts with shit and the way that when they came over here, he immediately got on my computer, broke it, then finally fixed it and made it much better, which I'm very grateful for, by the way, Joel. The work he did on the computer has worked out beautifully. The computer works much better since he messed with it. But, first, of course, he had to break it. That's very ENTP without asking me or anything. Just sit down and break my computer right away. That's typical textbook ENTP shit. And then successfully fixing it before he leaves is also, at least some of the times, ENTP stuff as well. Okay, he's pretty cool. Haha, I'm so sure. It's funny because I got ISFJ vibes a lot when we were first dating, but I think it has a lot to do with the Enneagram 6. Yeah, I think so too. He's an Enneagram 6. Okay, well, look, Angel, Aura, one thing I've never done is ever, even when I was a blackout drunk, struck the other person. And prior to this relationship, I didn't break shit either. I didn't throw shit. I didn't make a big scene. I didn't get that pissed off or anything. This woman is extremely good at infuriating me. And her complete lack of fairness and cooperation in these conversations just makes me livid because it's an appallingly unacceptable, deep, abiding unfairness that I will not tolerate. Can you analyze the destiny versus vegan gains debate? Sure, I'll check that one out. I checked out another video with debating vegan gains. I've offered to debate him myself. If you really want a challenge, you should take me up on it. So, okay, the thing about this hitting, breaking, smashing things, look, it's not acceptable exactly, but it's not unacceptable either. I didn't break her things. I actually didn't try to break anything. I was just trying to hit something that made a lot of noise. And I actually didn't even break anything. I just sort of bent the cage on this heater. But yeah, you can get multiple people to type you for free. That's crafty of you. However, what you can't get is a extended one-on-one session with me for free, and that's better than anything else you can do. She feels criticized, so then making you angry becomes a game. Well, okay, then she needs to learn that that's not an acceptable game for mature, healthy adults to play with each other. And I'm going to criticize her about it until she gets it through her fucking thick head. Because fuck no. The fuck she will. And, you know, it's like I'm the only person on the planet who can deal with this woman successfully. I'm convinced of it. Because I'm not leaving her. I'm not going to let her bullshit push me away. And I'm not going to tolerate it either. And I got high self-esteem. She can say as many cutting things as she wants. She's already killed as much of my ego as she could kill. None left to kill. So, yeah, and she's going to lose. Because if she wins, then we either split up or I'm in an abusive relationship where I'm getting abused all the time. Whereas if I win, then we're in a healthy relationship. So, yeah, I am going to have to win that power struggle. She's going to have to break and learn to trust me. Period. And it's not going to be satisfyingly egalitarian for her where we're equals. And no, she's going to have to be humbled and learn from me and learn to accept that position as I have accepted it with her before as well. When I'm wrong, I am humbled and learn from her as I have many times already in the relationship. And it is time for her to do the same, to reciprocate. So, yeah, is there a power struggle? Sure. You could say that. We've got one party who's attempting to sort of compel the other party into persisting in an abusive relationship in which he's getting shit on all the time. And the other party is saying, no, I will not tolerate this. And you will be better than this, period. I mean, I can't begin to be equals until she affords me the basic reciprocal burden of being able to communicate with me. You know, if she can't, if she expects me to listen to her shit on me all day, but if I point something out, then she's going to freak out about it. Then the end goal is just to break her until she understands that's not okay. Now, eventually, obviously, I want to be equals. I'm not interested in dominating somebody. I'm interested in not being dominated, though. And so until she learns, like, oh, you know, she doesn't get to just sort of, okay, fine, I'll begrudgingly be equals with you, right? She's going to have to learn something from this. Okay, well, untying the nuts of her distrust is what needs to happen first before any form of respect can be made. Fine, except I'm not a saint, okay? So I will work with her for sure. I will work with her in honest, good faith. But I also have legitimate anger, and she's going to have to face some of that anger and accept the fact that she's done wrong things and apologize and be remorseful and humbled before me. This is necessary for a relationship to be healthy. It's not a healthy relationship is not both parties are always equal. A healthy relationship is one in which each partner is periodically humbled before the other because of their wrongdoing. That's how one acknowledges shit. You go, I am so sorry that I did this, Kimberly. Please forgive me, and it was my bad. I shouldn't have said that to you, and that was not okay. Things like that I say frequently enough in the relationship as I need to are things she needs to say, period. It's not because I'm trying to control her or force her to change or whatever. It's because she's not being a good citizen. She's being a bad human being, and she needs to stop. And if she doesn't, I'm bringing the fucking hammer. I'm going to hammer her ass until she does, period. See, the thing is, anger and a forceful approach like this never, ever work with Kimberly. It always evokes a reactionary response that is it's just her doubling down. But there's got to be some acknowledgement of the legitimacy of my indignation at some point. It can't simply be, okay, I'll stop for a little while, but I won't admit anything. Fuck that. It's not okay. Yes, it's gotten a lot better. She's gotten better. She's made significant improvements. I acknowledge that in many areas, but not this one. She still doesn't admit when she's wrong. She still tries to blame me all the time. And it's not going to fly, period. I mean, it might be sort of the problem. It's like, I expect to have an equal relationship. I don't mind gender roles to a certain extent, but I don't expect to be obeyed. I don't expect to be the boss of the relationship. I do expect her to defer to my leadership in certain areas. And she's loath to do so. And, you know, it's like, so things can go real easy if she just trusts me a little bit. Like, okay, Kim, we're going to do it this way. Why? Well, just trust me. This is the way to do it. Okay. Well, no, I have to go into a big fucking explanation about it as to why. She can't just trust me about anything. She's got to challenge everything. You have to say 5 good things to counteract 1 negative thing. So to correct 1 negative behavior, you have to reward 5 good behaviors. Well, I mean, look, I don't want to play dog trainer. I want her to sit down and be more scared of losing me than she is scared of her past trauma. You know, sometimes you got to scare them straight. I don't want to play coddle and treat her like a child. She needs to fucking grow up and accept responsibility for shit, period. Well, then should needs to be does. That's the thing. She needs to change that fucking behavior. Yeah, I know. I asked her to come out here, but she doesn't want it. Maybe if I tell her Jewel's here, she'll come. Jewel is here. Are there certain types that have a really hard time admitting their wrongdoing? If so, which ones? Well, I mean, I think your TI polars normally, your ESFPs, your ENFPs have a hard time admitting when they're wrong in general. It's not typically the case, I think, for ISFJs. I think ISFJs don't do a lot of wrong things. They don't love admitting when they're wrong, but they don't have the pathological inability to do so that Kimberly has. And you should put nonviolent communication on your reading list. Not that you should agree with it or anything, you should read it. Yeah, well, before the fight tonight, I said to her, okay, Kim, before we start this fight, I think we should set some ground rules. And in response to that, she immediately started taunting and blaming me. Like, what you mean is this, before she heard anything of my ground rules. It doesn't matter what the ground rules I wanted to set were. The fact that I wanted to set them meant they were bad. Yeah, well, whether she likes it or not, it's going to have to go. That's it. I'm not putting up with this shit. No, she's not listening to me say these things. She'll listen to them tomorrow when I'm playing this video and she's in here, sitting in here. I mean, I'm not trying to hide it from her. She's heard me say them before plenty of times. She should feel bad. Yeah, that could be some of my anger. Sure. I don't want her to force me into a position where I have to leave. I expect her to be cooperative. I I expect her to take the solutions I provide, some of them, you know, to work with me towards solutions. It's not, if I start to come up with a solution, how about we start practicing nonviolent communication, some sort of ground rule? Forget about it. I'm just trying to trick her. She's live streaming on her channel. I don't think she has a channel. That'd be great if she was. That'd be hilarious. She's clever like that. It wouldn't totally shock me. Well, it sounds like she's coming out here now. So you can talk to her about it in a second.
Because June can be able to solve all of our problems.
I've just been venting to people here, and they're like, well, why don't you bring her out here? And then when it doesn't happen, I'm again shocked and angry. What was the argument about originally? Well, I had hoped that we'd be able to talk about how she'd spoken to me in the car about the many. But, you know, it started with us watching a couple of videos. One called 3 reasons women fall out of love with men. And another one called basically 4 reasons men fall out of love with women, or something equivalent. So we watched those videos while we were eating dinner, and we had one headphone each in one of our ears, and we listened to them. And so when she watched the video about reasons men fall out of love with women, she finished it and said she didn't think any of it was relevant to our relationship. Whereas the reason I had suggested she see it was because it would have been a recommended video to me. I just clicked because the title seemed interesting. And I discovered that the 3 things were lack of appreciation, lack of respect, and persistently critical or negative words. So I thought, well, Jesus, that's exactly relevant to our relationship. Those are exactly the 3 things I'm complaining about all the time. When I'm complaining, right?
All the time. You said it.
So one of the concerns I have is that I have to be careful about when and how I establish the boundaries that I establish, because when I do establish boundaries, I'm going to be accused of complaining all the time or criticizing her all the time, even though it's in response to directly offense, even though it's in response to some sort of comment that was directly disrespectful or offensive. Like in the car, for example, Kim, when we were driving from here to pick up the Mini, you didn't dispute that you spoke to me disrespectfully. You justified it by saying that
I was angry. Can you move over? I can't see.
Okay, I will try to read this thing, Matthew Alistair, about what do you call it? Nonviolent communication. We will read it, and I will try to implement it. But that would comprise a ground rule of sorts in our communication, and trying to set ground rules for our fights is not easy. If I suggest a ground rule, then she takes it as an attack. Well, yeah, she did take it as an attack, the video where I said, you know, I showed it to her saying, like, you know, look, these are, I intended to sort of go, think about this, Kim. You know, it's important for you to appreciate me, to respect me, and to speak positive words to me. But her response to it was so dismissive entirely of it that I just felt as though she's determined not to give my legitimate concerns any attention. Like she's doing her best to just refuse to hear me. John Brooks says it's true for men to be respected and appreciated above being told they're loved. It's absolutely true. I expect to be respected and appreciated. Love, I deduce from other things. Look, a relationship isn't an argument to be won. It's a negotiation. I'm hearing a bunch of needs from you, but I'm not clear on what Kim's needs are. Okay, so let's get into that. Kim, why don't you state your case and what I'm doing wrong and all that sort of stuff?
Eric.
Well, I mean, I agree. It's not fair for me to just to have my side of the case and you not have your side of the case.
I wasn't even here for your case. Because it doesn't matter. So since they're the attorneys, maybe they need to ask me questions.
All right, you guys ask Kim questions then. She wants it to be...
Because I have no idea what you've been talking about.
She wants to respond to questions.
I took myself and my cricket machine and I ran for our lives.
How long have we been together? We've been together for, it'll be 2 years in April. 2 years in April. Okay, Matthew, shut up about it already. Fucking nonviolent communication. Is that nonviolent for you? Enough for you, Matthew? Shut the fuck up about it already. So, Kim, I like it when you do glorify the positive, ignore the negative. Okay, Kim, I like it when you do come out here and participate in these things with me. I like that a lot. But my sincerity is not in any doubt. I don't lie to her. Simply saying stuff doesn't necessarily show sincerity, but the action to show sincerity will.
Thank you.
I do lots of actions. This is what I'm talking about, not being appreciative.
Not your kind of actions, my kind of actions.
Like what, for example? What do I need to do that I'm not doing?
You need to show me instead of tell me.
Okay, well, what would that look like?
It would look like you telling me you're going to do things is one thing, following through and finishing them is another.
So what am I not following through and finishing that I should have? What's bothering you right now that I'm presumably slacking off on?
Well, the kitchen's in shambles.
Okay, well, I told you I was going to finish it tonight, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will.
You just told me to give you an example. I'm not complaining about it.
But that's not an example of me not following through. That's something in progress. It's an example of me following through on a problem with the bugs.
It's a bad example. Don't get mad at me.
Okay, but you say these things, but it's not true.
Well, you know what?
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
I didn't sit here and say, well, then you say these things, but they're not true when you were telling your side. Ask them, not you.
I'm not perfect about following through on shit. Okay? I sometimes tell you I'm going to do something and I don't follow through on it. And that's my bad when that occurs. But to portray me as somebody who has fundamental difficulties doing that. You.
God.
My bad. What else? Well, I know this isn't the forum where Kim feels comfortable airing them. Kim doesn't like it when there's an audience.
I don't get a choice, though.
When there's not an audience, you're totally unfair to me. I mean, you agree that you were unfair about that, right?
Unfair to you even when there is an audience.
But Kim, do you agree you were unfair about the car?
No.
So, but you said that the problem with this car is that I hadn't taken care of it, that I'd run it into the ground.
No, that's not what I said. I didn't say you do that.
That is, Kim.
No, that's not what I said.
What were you saying then, Kim?
I was saying that you said that I disrespected you by the way that I was yelling at you. And I said, yeah, I probably did, but I was angry.
That's not what you said. You said, it's your fault, Eric, because you have this long history of running cars into the ground. No, I asked you to give me an example. You gave me an example of that car right there, even though you know I didn't run into the ground.
That's not what I said.
That is what you said.
That isn't what I said. What I said was I was angry because I wanted to go with you so that I could find out what was wrong with the car.
That's what you
felt. Follow through with it because
that's what you felt. That's not what you said.
You're not even letting me talk. Who had the floor?
Okay, but you disagree. You say that I didn't say that about you. Okay, well, that you didn't say that, but you did say that, and so you're lying. You did say that about the car.
Okay, all right. This doesn't work.
Did you say it about the car or not?
I don't remember. I don't know.
You don't remember.
This is not how I wanted it to go.
Then Because you won't tell the truth.
Well,
You did say that about the car.
You're not even letting me talk.
But Kim,
What?
you did say that about the car. Didn't you?
No.
You didn't say that I ran that car into the ground.
I said I look at this car as kind of the example.
Of me running a car into the ground.
Well, of like just letting it just.
Okay, but you know what actually happened with that car, right?
Yeah.
So you know that's not an example of that.
Well, but what I'm saying is it's been sitting there for almost a year.
Okay, but you know that's not an example of what you accused me of, right?
It kind of is.
No, it's not at all.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I'm done with the.
Then sit down and be fair. And don't fight me on things that are factual.
I don't want to do this right now.
Okay, listen, Pure Milk. I'm not looking for a neutral or a positive ground or negative ground or anything. I'm saying I need witnesses so that she will be somewhat reasonable with me. I'm not looking to win a battle against Kimberly ultimately. I'm looking for her to stop trying to win a battle against me. I am emotional. This is the only thing in life that I get this emotional about is Kimberly's fighting me on everything. How hard is it to get her to admit that she did say that about the car? Super hard, unnecessarily difficult, unacceptably difficult. It's not. Okay, Joe Shabadoo says channel is 100% non-neutral, and if I had to guess, perhaps also a part of Kim's resentment surrounding Eric not showing affection properly. Except here you are advocating on Kim's side, proving that it's neutral, or at least that plenty of people are advocating on her side of things. I have had these arguments with people plenty of times on the channel. They usually side with Kim. Voce Mora Ande. I don't know Spanish that well. Ryan Dos Santos. Caraca Mermolo. Era pra ser canal de tipologia mas ela so ta brigando com a esposa. Oh, that's Portuguese? Oh, I definitely don't speak Portuguese. Anyway, I can't read and respond to those comments, Ryan and Bruce, because I don't speak Portuguese. Yes, Matthew, you and Jewel do have a lot of work to do. You guys have to fix our relationship. And the thing is, you might accuse me of like using logic to hammer Kim or something. Like, no, Kim, that's not logical. That's not what the fuck I'm doing. I'm saying it's not fair for you to say something that's false, and then when I call you on it to try to escape the fact that it was false, and then it's like it's not even a logic thing, it's a fact thing. Who's gone? Oh, Jewel's gone, but I'm not gone, and neither is Kimberly. So anyway, the thing is, I do not want Kimberly to feel like she's under attack, and that
she does daily.
Okay, but okay. Sometimes I'm guilty of starting shit by saying negative things to you and starting fights and stuff like that. Occasionally that does happen, for sure. And I hope to not do that anymore.
You always say you hope to not do a lot of things.
Okay,
anymore.
well, Kim,
like your little episode.
I can't promise you to be a saint because you won't promise me to be even slightly better. So you're right. I can't promise to be a saint, but I can promise to give my good intentions and to try. But in order for you to promise to be slightly better, you'd have to admit you were doing something wrong first.
I didn't feel like I was.
You never do.
Okay.
So, but you did agree you disrespected me in the car, but you said it's justified because of this car, but you agree that it's not actually justified because of this car.
This is something that I would look at as disrespecting you, but if that's how you felt.
So, I mean, how would you like me to talk to you about the car?
You do talk to me like that.
About the... Kim, when you fuck up, I never talk to you like that. I didn't even fuck up in this instance. When you fuck up in the physical world, right? Like when you broke my guitar. I didn't yell at you. I didn't bust your chops at all. I said, shit happens. Don't worry about it, baby. Now, if I had actually been responsible for this car's problems, then that would be the response of a loving person. But I wasn't even responsible for them. And you still want to blame me and shit on me about it. So that's the problem. I'm sorry you guys are going through this. I hope you resolve this peacefully and quickly in a manner that's satisfying for both of you. Well, I hope so too. Kim doesn't agree with me that she's done anything wrong. She doesn't agree with me that in general she speaks harshly to me. She doesn't agree with me that...
Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, look, Rebecca, if that were true, you have a good point. If I were affirming something, if I were the one creating the difficulty here, like saying, Kimberly, you need to be more logical. You're not being logical enough. You need to think differently. You need to be different, blah, 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 blah. That's not what's happening. I'm saying, Kimberly, your behaviors towards me are unacceptable. The way you talk to me, the lack of respect, the lack of appreciation, and all the negative critical words are unacceptable. Now, when I'm saying, when she then says, no, it's okay, it's justified for me to do this because some other shitty thing about you, Eric, then, and I say, no, that's bullshit. I may be using my TINE, but not expecting her to respond TINE. It's responding to her false claim that her disrespectful words were caused by my long history of mistreating automobiles. I think it's true that in this case, Kim made a wrong accusation and it's hard for her to admit them in terms of the things she said. I think it's also the case that she isn't always able to completely explain what she feels in words easily, so she needs more time to be able to articulate her feelings. That's fine. She can have time to articulate her feelings as she wishes, but she needs to be able to distinguish between feelings and facts. I feel this way. And I go, but that's not what I actually did, Kim. She says, yes, it is. That's what I feel. Well, that doesn't define the action. iPan says, wonder if Kim enjoys getting a rise out of you. Maybe makes her feel like you care about her. That's very possible. Hopefully she knows I care about her. Do you know I care about you, Kimberly?
Yeah.
You know I love you and want to be with you, right?
Yes, but you just want to drive me crazy too. Every single day. You're constantly, I'm under the microscope constantly.
Kim, that's not true.
And you don't just like let me be who I am.
Is that true?
That's how I feel.
Okay, well, what is, give me an example of you being under the microscope.
What?
Give me an example of you being under the microscope.
I feel like every time you want to talk about something or communicate about something, you're just waiting for me to either say something you can tell me I'm complaining. You tell me when I'm trying to be honest with you about something, you tell me I'm being negative. You tell me when I say something that you don't like where the narrative is going wrong, that I need to look at this thing narratively. Like everything I say, think, do, whatever, you've got a better way of doing it for me so that it fits into your narrative.
So do you think that my complaints or criticisms are about how you are or about what you said or what you did? They're almost always about one of those three things.
It's always one of those three things.
No, but it's almost always about specifically one of those three things. It's almost always about what you just said. But
no, it's usually, yeah, it's probably always something that I've just said, but it's usually you asking me something and leading me there.
That's not true, Kim. I did nothing to lead you in this car right here as an example to attacking me about the car. You were fretting about the car, so you attacked me.
So you looked at me and you said, you stay here, I'm going alone, I'm walking.
Yes, I did. I didn't want you to come with me. I could see you were in an attacky mood, that if I were going to get in the car with you, you were just going to attack me all the way down there. And then when you insisted on driving behind me and picking me up, what did you do the whole way down there? Attack me. But you are asking right and wrong. SI is subjective perceiving, not judgment. SI is a knowing function. You're right. It's not a judgment function. But the thing is, she's knowing from past experiences that often don't relate to me at all. So the reason she knows you can't trust me is not because she can't trust me, not because I did anything, not because I cheated on her, or not because I left her, or not because I treated her like shit, or not because I neglected her as a child. She's linking to past experiences that have nothing to do with me, but she's taking it out on me. I'm not the bad person that she talks to me as though I were. I'm not letting her down in some way, although she's continually trying to express that to me. I'm not failing to do my job as a man. I'm not failing to provide for her. I'm not, it's like, because this car that I got her isn't in the greatest of shape. Like it's caused us some problems, broken down a couple of times, sort of. Any sense of appreciation that we got the car is supplanted by anger at me, unfounded anger at me.
Not unfounded. I feel very appreciative of the fact that we have the car, and I want you to continue to take care of it. By you smoking in it when I've asked you not to, when you agreed to when we first purchased it, to me that was kind of a commitment we made, and you broke it.
It was, and I did, and we know that there were very specific contexts in which I did that, decided to break that agreement.
You said you were mad at me, and I needed to be.
Kim, I wasn't just mad at you.
Okay, so you were getting back at me, so you.
No, Kim, I was trying to make it such that I didn't have to carry around a massive block of resentment. Because
then you went and smoked.
I did smoke in the car, yes.
Yeah. That's something a child does, is they play that little game. And
you don't want to talk about what that was. I agree with you that is what a child does. I agree with you that we shouldn't play tit for tat. I wish I hadn't in that instance.
You do that often?
So what was your role? Yes, I agree. So when you say, am I right or wrong, you're asking her to make a decision on everything that brought her to that point. Mm-hmm. No, I'm asking her to agree with that specific point.
And if I don't agree with it, then I'm giving you pushback. And I said, no. And this goes often with most of our conversations. If I don't agree, you say I'm giving you pushback. Just because I don't agree with something doesn't mean I'm giving you pushback. It means I don't freaking agree.
Right. Okay. But a good example of you not agreeing was the car. Now, we eventually did reach agreement that I was right about it, right? That in fact, you did say that about the car, that is not true about the car, and that you knew that was not true about the car.
What part?
You justified speaking.
Don't say you again and say it obnoxiously. I'm needing to understand.
Okay.
You're getting mad at me for having you understand.
Okay.
Explain.
Okay. Sorry. My bad. You accused me of, you said that you were justified in being disrespectful to me in the car because I have a history of running cars into the ground. When I asked you to give me an example, you gave me the example of this car right here, even though you knew, and I know, and we both know, that that's not what happened with that car. It did not get run into the ground. The cops broke the car, broke the sensors. I wasn't able to afford to get the sensors replaced, therefore couldn't get it smog checked. You know that particular story very well. So you know that's not an example of running the car into the ground. Now, what you did finally agree was at least that, okay, well, it's sort of like it because it's something you didn't take care of or attend to. Okay, well, but that's not what you said before at all. And the thing I didn't take care of or attend to had nothing to do with the car's health. It has to do with registration, which was beyond my control for a stretch of time. And we haven't dealt with it yet because you've sold it to your brother without asking me about whether that was an acceptable sales price.
I didn't sell it to my brother. He hasn't bought it.
Okay, well, you promised to him for the price of 4 tires for the FJ, which is not something I agreed to ever, nor did you ask me about it. So, the thing is, but that's irrelevant. The point is, Kim, that I did not run that car into the ground. And it is not an example of a history of me running cars into the ground. And there are no such cars that I have run into the ground as indicated. And even if there were, that doesn't justify you disrespectfully speaking to me in the car in that way. Okay. Good night, Bruce. Keep speaking from a place of love, and this will resolve. Good. God bless you too, and have a good night. Well, God bless you too, Sunbeaming. Speaking from a place of love is a tricky business. It's like, am I speaking from a place of love yet? No. I'm not speaking from a place of full understanding and forgiveness, but I'm speaking from a place of genuinely wanting the best from the relationship. I'm not trying to be difficult. I don't like difficulties in relationships. I don't like fighting in relationships at all. I'm not inclined to fight in relationships. I don't historically fight until the end when it starts breaking up, Another approach is to accept her feelings as they are because it's her reality and ask something more like, what can I do or stop doing so you don't feel like that? I could try that. Unfortunately, I think that tends to open up the door to broad blamings. I think a better approach was what somebody else suggested to me in the last one of these fight videos that we had.
No, I'm Batman, you suck. He wants me to agree, apologize, and even totally be on board with it. I'm not allowed to just say I agree, and I have to actually feel it.
Yeah, I want them to be honest and speak their mind.
Well,
because if they're engaging with me in real communication, then we will reach agreement because I'm fair and reasonable. I'll concede where I'm wrong. I want what's best for the relationship. I'm a teammate. I'm working with her. I don't want her to be blamed. I don't want you to be at fault, Kimberly. I don't want you to be there. Ha ha, I got you. Now it's your fault. I'm willing to take on 75% of the blame. I just need you to show me you're a teammate. And that means going, oh, here's a way I could be a better teammate, and admitting it and trying and working with me and not pushing back against everything. When I say why don't you agree with me on this? And you always say, but I just don't agree. You're not looking for some way we can phrase this where we can both agree on it, which we need to do. That's working together.
I think we're going to always agree, and you need to be okay with that.
Okay, but what did I just say? We can find a phrasing of a sentence that we can both agree on, right?
No.
We can't find a phrasing we can both agree on?
No, we have to
even if it's your phrasing?
No, we need to find a compromise, not agree. I'm not going to always agree with you.
If we have a compromise, then we're agreeing.
Okay. Well,
so what I'm saying is,
the word compromise.
But listen, what I just said was,
I've done nothing but listening.
But we need to find a way to agree about things, right? And we immediately said no.
Let's agree that we have to sometimes disagree with each other's. We have to agree to disagree sometimes.
Okay, but if we do agree to disagree, we should agree on what we disagree about.
No, that's not how it works.
Okay, well, what will you agree with me about here? What will you work to? In what way do you feel you have any responsibility to work with me towards agreement? Do I have any responsibility to work with you towards agreement?
No, because if you don't agree with something, you don't have to always agree. You just have to be able to sometimes give me my way.
Well, I won't give you your way if I don't agree. Why should I?
I'm not going to give you your way if I don't agree.
Okay, but that's why we should agree, so that we can give each other's ways.
No, that's not how that works.
Okay, well then we're both at a standstill, and we both lose.
No, one of us wins, one of us loses.
No, because Kim, neither of us will ever win if one of us isn't fair. We both will lose continually.
Thank you. I'm a bat, you suck. It's constant. It's constantly like this.
Okay, I am saying I want to cooperate. I've admitted several things already that I did wrong in the time that we've had.
Anybody get a word in edgewise?
Okay, then say what you got to say.
I can. You don't allow me.
Speak now.
I lie. What are you listening to?
I don't know. I guess it's Matthew. Is that Matthew? Yeah. Yeah. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Yes, that too.
Okay, maybe
God.
I am overthinking. Maybe neither of us knows how to make the other one feel heard. Let me do the groundwork first and demonstrate I'm willing to do the work. So, how is it that I can better make you feel as though I've heard what you're saying to me, Kimberly?
When I do talk to you about things, not try to solve every single freaking problem, and allow me to just talk to you about it without you critiquing it, making fun of it, telling me that why do I think that way, blah, 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 blah. Just allowing me to talk to you about things without judgment, opinion, or needing to fix it.
Okay, so let me just say right off the bat that if you're venting to me about stuff that's not specifically me related, so if you're venting about somebody else than me or some other problem than me, then I absolutely can make the commitment now to at least try to do that better, and an acknowledgement that I've been somewhat at fault there in not doing a good enough job of letting you vent and listening to you, but always trying to chime in and trying to fix things. I don't think I criticize you all the time when you do that sort of thing, but you do say a lot of things that are kind of.
You do criticize me. You'll say stuff like, well, you know what? I don't know why you're thinking about that right. We're not thinking about that right now.
Okay, well, listen. You do have a habit of venting in a way that muses about problems that are potential and distant, as though they were significant things we need to attend to right now.
Okay, but they are significant to me.
Okay, well, all right, fine. My point is, I should and can do a better job of listening to you vent without trying to fix things. Okay? Okay, so I'll repeat what I just said. Kim, it is true that I have not done a very good job of listening to you vent about people, not me, or things, situations, not me, without chiming in with possible solutions or reasons why that way of thinking is potentially bad or stuff like that. And I can admit to that and apologize. I apologize for that. And I will commit to doing a better job going forward to the extent that I can. I'm not perfect again, but I will try and I will slowly improve in the area at least. Okay. Hopefully more quickly than that. Now, that's a legitimate point she has there, that when she's venting about people other than me, right, that I should do a better job of letting her vent. Now, let's talk about when you're talking to me in a way that's venting sort of about me. Well, how would you like me to respond in that context?
Still hear me out.
Okay. So I have no problem hearing specific criticisms and accepting them if they are valid and acknowledging them and trying to do a better job.
Okay.
So I hope I can help you to be heard. What happens when you are trying to blame me or criticize me for something that is totally unacceptable and inappropriate, like in the car with the many? How should you feel? Should I do a better job making you feel heard then?
Yeah. Just because it pisses you off doesn't mean you shouldn't hear me out.
Okay, well, I'm not saying that it pisses me off, right? What did I say? I said it was a factually incorrect, wrong, attacking, disrespectful statement that you made. Like disrespectful tone, disrespectful attitude, just total disregard of what I was saying. Not listening to me.
You told me the tone doesn't mean anything.
Okay, Kim. My point is, I didn't say that it pissed me off. It pissed me off because I'm making the claim that it was those things. It was disrespectful. Now, you can dispute that claim if you want and say, no, it wasn't disrespectful.
That's what I did dispute. I disputed that I didn't feel like it was disrespectful.
But do you acknowledge that if I talked to you like that, you wouldn't find it acceptable?
Yeah, I don't find how you talk to me acceptable at all.
Okay, but do you agree that how you talk to me in the car there is worse than how I talk to you?
No.
Okay, so what makes what you were saying in the car acceptable, but not what I say to you?
Well, you would say to me, you stupid fucking bitch, and I would never say, get in the car, you stupid fucking dick. I would never say that.
Yeah, Kim, it is true. I have called you.
You just did about 30 minutes ago.
No, I didn't.
Stupid. When you were throwing this shelf.
But did I call you stupid fucking bitch?
3 times.
Okay, so this is exactly what I anticipated and what happens consistently is the reason, Kim, you evoke that kind of anger in me, and it's my responsibility. Don't get me wrong. I need to stop giving you that ammunition, okay? That's my bad. But you're ignoring entirely what happened with the car.
No, you asked me, did I find that it was...
Names. But you want to extract from that whole occasion any of your responsibility.
No, it's an example.
So where's your responsibility?
We weren't talking about my responsibility.
I am talking about that.
Now you are. But you were asking me before, what is something that...
Okay, Kim, but listen, I've tried... Okay, so listen, I've tried to get you to accept responsibility for being disrespectful in the car. You haven't accepted that, okay?
Because I don't agree it was disrespectful.
Gotcha.
Then
now, do you accept responsibility for the lying?
No, let's get back to the first topic of you saying, did you find that it was just as disrespectful for how I talked to you in the car that you talked to me in here? And I said, no. I think how you talked to me in here was way more disrespectful.
Okay, let's concede that. I'll concede that the way I talked to you in here was more disrespectful than the way you talked to me in the car. Okay. Now, do you concede that lying to me in the fashion that you did was more disrespectful than either of those other circumstances?
So now talk to me about the lie. I don't remember lying.
You said, this is the third time I've explained it, in the car, you accused me of being, you spoke disrespectfully. When I called you out on it in here, you said the reason you were disrespectful is because I have a long history of running cars into the ground, so I deserved that disrespect. Now, my point was...
I didn't say, that's not what I said. I never said, you deserve this disrespect.
But it was my fault for your disrespectful tone because I have a long history of running cars into the ground. That's what you told me. Now, I pointed out that I don't, and you disagreed. I said, give me an example. You pointed to this car here, knowing, as I do, that that's not what happened to that car. So you were lying.
Well, I wasn't really talking about that car. I was talking about some other car that you have.
But you don't know of any other car that I've had that I've run into the ground.
Because I don't know of it. I was
so why were you... Okay, so then, again, this is you working against me and using justification.
Wait a minute.
Kim, so you're telling me Delilah mentioning something to you once in the past justified your disrespectful speech in the car there and then misrepresenting your feelings about this car as an example of it. It justified all that because Delilah once told you that I'd run cars into the ground.
That you don't take care of your...
Because since Delilah told you that I don't take care of my cars, it justified your disrespect and your dishonesty.
I don't feel like I was dishonest.
Okay, so what is there any instance where you would be disrespectful where it wouldn't be justified by something that you heard maybe from somebody or saw on TV or some other idea you could use to justify being disrespectful? Or is it inherently wrong because it's disrespectful? Because I can always come up with any justification. I can come with justifications calling you names too, right? I had a good justification, but I didn't just fixate on my justification, although I have somewhat. I also acknowledged it was wrong of me to do that. It's called being fair. Hey, just think about it. It's definitely a communication error issue. It doesn't do any good if you say your way is best. No one's way is best, and reconsideration should take place no matter how confident you are. Listen to me. What way am I saying is best? Just think about it. What I'm saying is best is being honest and acknowledging when you've made a mistake, as I did about the name calling. I shouldn't have done that, and not simply focusing on her culpability for it. Did she have a role in it? Yes, but I'm responsible for my own behavior. And calling her names is not acceptable in that fashion. No matter whether I was mad or whether she'd done something or not. It's not acceptable. It was my fault. I apologized for it. It was my bad. That's called, exactly. She's not acknowledging his feelings at all, right? You haven't heard her acknowledge a goddamn thing, have you? And when I got her to the point where she definitely needed to do so, she was just silent. She's not working with me. She's working against me. And yes, this instance, at this point, she needs to acknowledge, okay, I'm going to let him be the leader here. I'm going to work with him, take on that sort of follower role for this capacity of this thing, because it doesn't work the other way around. She'll lead us right off a cliff. Anyway, we're down to 22 viewers, so I guess people are tired of watching host Eric and Kimberly's fight thing here. Well, I mean, it will require trust, Pure Milk. That's the thing. It requires trust. She does need to trust me, and she needs to understand that it's not going to be implicit trust first, the sort of trust where you don't have to think about it because you really believe in trusting the person. It's got to be an exercise of trust.
You don't allow me to learn to trust you, but you don't. You're too explosive.
I mean, another deeply unfair comment. I know I can't force someone to trust me. I know. My point is, she needs to make a choice to extend me that trust. Whether even though I sometimes get a little bit angry,
force someone to trust you.
I'm responding to that. You can't. It's absolutely true. I can only continue to entreat her to make the choice. Right? Don't pretend as though it's not a choice. We can't come up with a co-constructed set of rules. She doesn't want any set of ground rules or any sort of narrative stuff. She thinks it's all bullshit because it comes from me. Right? Kim, do you want to set some ground rules? I tried to start that conversation before with setting ground rules, but you wouldn't have it. Maybe we could have prevented the throwing of the thing.
Doubt it.
We didn't let us set ground rules.
You didn't say anything about ground rules.
I did, Kim. I started the conversation with, I think we should set some ground rules.
And so I said, well, what I think you mean by ground rules is you want me to set narratives before you go on live stream.
No, you didn't say anything about live stream.
Did.
You didn't say anything about live stream. You said the thing about narratives.
Okay, well, that's what I meant.
So the point is, Kim, I said, let's set some ground rules. You responded by saying, no, I don't trust you. Functionally. That's what you said, functionally. Okay, that's what ground rules are supposed to do. They're supposed to help people who don't trust each other be able to trust each other a little bit more. But you don't even trust me to set ground rules.
Well, I'm sorry.
At that point, you need to make the choice to trust. It's not a feeling or an emotion. It's a choice to work with me and afford me the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to lead us to the right place.
Okay.
We don't exactly, Cynthia. Oh, this is a huge part of the problem, is we don't resolve hurts from our previous conversations. I resolve ways in which I've hurt her to the best of my ability by making amends or apologizing, admitting I was wrong, and doing all the verbal and otherwise work that I need to do. But she doesn't resolve any of those things, so I develop growing resentment about it because she doesn't and hasn't admitted she's wrong for the duration of the relationship, basically. And she's made a lot of false statements about me. She's said a lot of things where they're my fault that are totally her fault and not my fault at all. She won't even work with me on it. She won't even cooperate and let me be gracious and take on some of the responsibility. She has to thrust it all onto me. So this shit's bullshit. It's got to stop. Well, Pure Milk, you're our mediator. Then mediate for us. Go on. But mediate effectively. Don't just be like, well, you guys need to talk more. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get to specifics. Mia needs to stop Mia. I maybe need to stop Mia. Fine. Let's make an agreement. Let's negotiate a deal. I'll stop Mia if you stop Mia. I'll admit to Mia if you'll admit to Mia. Fine.
But you don't get to decide what I'm going to admit to. You don't get to decide what I'm going to trust you about.
But
you don't get to decide.
It's a negotiation, though, then, Kim. We'll negotiate it.
Well, allow me to do it with time.
Okay, but negotiating isn't me deciding. You think it is. Because negotiating means me getting some of what I want.
You get a lot of what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Pure Milk, I would rather have you here in person with a face and a voice. That'd be great. But no, we do need spectators. We absolutely need spectators. Everything needs to be in the light of day. Okay, transparency is the good that cures all ill. Nobody wants to reveal their dark sides, their bad sides when everybody's watching, and everybody has to be accountable for what they do when everybody's watching. The light of day is the best cure humanity has ever had for wickedness. You're fine getting yelled at. I'm not yelling at you, am I? Am I yelling at you? I guess I'm yelling at you a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be yelling at you. I just speak with authority. Kim, is there anything Eric could do to help you trust him more? That's a good question.
Yeah, like quit, like you just don't like the person I am.
That's not true. That's not an answer to the question either. There's two problems with it. Is there anything I can do to help you trust me more? Your answer is no. It's hopeless. He doesn't like me. That's not an answer to that question, and it's not true. So, is there anything I can do to help you trust me more?
Yeah, quit cursing at me. Call me a stupid fucking bitch.
I'm sorry I cursed at you. I will once again do my best to refrain. You'll notice that.
How many times?
And how much better has it gotten? I'm down to bitch, right?
No, you called me a stupid fucking bitch today.
Okay, well, fine. But Kim, what I didn't call you was worse things that I called you in the past.
Doesn't matter. You're calling me names.
I'm not fucking perfect. I'm sorry. I've not entirely extinguished it. I've mostly extinguished it. Occasionally it comes out again. Now, what are you doing wrong?
So you're saying that I don't ever, never nice to you.
I didn't say that. I never said that. You are often nice to me when you know you've done something wrong and are trying to make up for it without actually saying anything. That's when you're nicest to me. That's what abusers do, though. There's no like, I'm going to abuse you and then be nice to you to make up for it. No. If you abuse me, in other words, you speak disrespectfully to me or in ways that I cannot tolerate, then you apologize for it. As I do. As any acceptable behaving human being does. There's no other acceptable behavior. Well, Kim may need more tenderness, but I need more fucking accountability.
Move your thing.
Okay. Now, is it true that I throw a new topic to Kim instead of saying a topic?
Yes.
Example, name calling? No, I resolved that topic. I acknowledged I was wrong multiple times now. I've apologized for it multiple times now. I've indicated a willingness to try to do even better in extinguishing that behavior from my behavior. I've acknowledged that in the past, I did it before as well, and that I haven't extinguished it entirely. But I have pointed out that it's gotten somewhat better. Now, that's solved. That issue's done. We're done with it. We don't have to talk about it anymore. Why? Because I did the basic things that everybody has to do in that kind of circumstance. Admit you're wrong, apologize, resolve to do better in the future. It's that simple. So, yeah, I didn't change topic. I've resolved that problem by actually being a serious human being who takes seriously their partner's concerns. Okay, so Cynthia O says, you told her she's wrong instead of finding out why she doesn't think you like her, why she thinks you don't like her, right? I know why she thinks I don't like her. Because I won't let her abuse me. And she thinks I don't like the way she is because she's just that way and blah, 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 blah. She's not just that way. She's engaged in habitually bad and unacceptable relationship behavior, and she needs to change that behavior, and that's it. Apologizing and sorry is not overrated. That's all I need from her. The thing is, I need so little, and she fights me so hard, and she's so fucking stubborn and so unfair that she'd rather have these massive fucking battles and say, you're right, I agree, I'm sorry. When I am right, and she should agree, and she should be sorry. That's the fucking problem. Period. I didn't just yell it. I've said it multiple times now. I am sorry I called her names. I do apologize for that. And I've addressed it a couple of times. What has she not done any of? I'm not trying to force an apology. I'm trying to get her to acknowledge reality and behave like a normal human being. When you are wrong, and it is well established, and you have done something that is wrong to your partner, then it is time for you to apologize. To be humble, not proud. Listen, Paramount, I am not railroading Kim at all here, okay? I am not railroading her. I have done nothing but be accountable for everything everybody said about what I should be accountable for. Nothing but that. Now, at some point, even the most determined Kim sider is going to have to say, I see the problem here. One party's working. One party
just showed up.
One party's working and the other party's not. Eric, I seem to be the abuser. How am I being an abuser? I am objecting to her speaking abusively towards me in the car. And she will not work with me about that objection at all. It wasn't a one-time comment. She drove after me in the car to get me to get in the car so she continued to shit on me. It deserved boundary setting. Just because I'm using a stern tone, Rajul, does not mean that I'm abusive at all, nor does it mean I should be seen as seeming abusive. Having a stern tone, being angry is okay. Indignation is an appropriate response to being treated unfairly.
Yeah, this is very tame, believe me. Normally, when he's really irate and abusive, he gets in my face with his finger and will corner me and scream and spit in my face.
I have done that before. That's how I lose. And so when, for example, I'm trying to get progress.
Yes, Allie, it is. He doesn't.
Absolutely. No, that absolutely is. Allie, you're right. That's emotional abuse, what I was doing there. Keep in mind, she screams just as loud and gets just as in my face and has many times in the past. Okay. She also has called me names in the past. So all the shit she's accusing me of, she's done it too. Okay.
So that's not the point.
But the difference is this. Here's the difference. Okay. When I was screaming at her, I was getting to her. She refused to agree with me that she wasn't perfect. Or that I wasn't perfect, that we weren't perfect. She wouldn't agree with anything. Wouldn't agree that we breathed air. She was so determined to battle me. Okay. She wouldn't agree anything. But look, it still didn't justify my behavior. I admit that. I acknowledge that. I'm trying to fix that right now. I'm trying to fix it so I can be in an ecosystem in which I'm not so continually baited towards rage in that fashion. I don't want to be angry. Okay, fine. I'll take more responsibility. My mistake. I want to be in an environment where I can do a better job of never behaving like that. I'd like to never, ever behave like that. It's never okay for me to behave like that. And I want to make sure I'm in a relationship where I never behave like that. I need Kim's help here on this because I can't both be in a relationship where I never behave like that and also be a victim of continual abuse. And that's what it is if One party is always shitting on the other person, criticizing them, taking them for granted, disrespecting them, and then trying to gaslight them in ways like pissing them off so much that they slam something so that then they can use that against them later. That's not teamwork. That's anti-teamwork. She's working against me actively. Kim, you are. And you're sitting here going,
No, the word is provoke. You think I provoke you?
I know you do on purpose so that you can use it against me later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yes, you do. Why else wouldn't you answer a question like, would you agree that you're not perfect, Kim? And you wouldn't agree with that.
I know I'm not perfect.
Okay, but at the time when I got so upset, that one time months and months ago, when I got in your face and yelled and stuff, and I was so upset, that's what you wouldn't agree with me about. You refused to agree with me about anything. You refused to work with me at all. You refused to communicate meaningfully at all. You refused to admit anything.
No, it's not. I just don't.
You wouldn't agree that you weren't perfect. Kim?
I never said I was perfect.
I didn't say you did say that. I said you refused to agree with me that you weren't perfect in order to provoke me, in order that I would get angrier and angrier and angrier. You absolutely refused to agree with it. The sky was blue, down was down, up was up, cookies were food. You refused to agree with me about anything.
Oh, that's not an excuse.
I agree with you, but you did it for the express purpose of provoking me.
No, I don't.
Why else wouldn't you agree with basic facts? Do you agree this is a microphone?
Quit being so condescending.
Do you agree this is a microphone?
Quit.
Do you?
Stop it.
Will you agree with me that this is a microphone?
Stop.
So the answer is no. You won't agree that this thing I'm pointing at right here is a microphone. Do you agree with that or not?
I'm not playing your game.
It's not a game, Kim. It's a matter of, do you want to work with me, or are you trying to sabotage everything I'm doing? Do you agree this is a lighter?
Stop.
Do you agree?
Stop.
Why won't you agree with it? This is a lighter. Do you agree? Why not? Why won't you agree with that? What are you afraid of?
Why are you asking me that?
Seriously, this is a lighter. Do you agree, Kimberly?
Why are you asking me this?
Because it's pathological. This is a lighter. Do you agree with me?
Stop it.
This is a pack of cigarettes. Do you agree?
You're being weird. Stop it.
This is a fidget spinner. Do you agree? Why won't you agree with anything? Why, though?
You're just trying to do something to get irate about, and I don't want to do this.
Kim, I'm asking you a question. What can you agree with me about? What statement can I make that you can agree with me about? Nothing? You refuse to agree with me about anything? No matter what I say.
I haven't said 2 words. You're talking for.
I'm asking you to agree with me about something.
I don't want to talk to you at all.
Okay, but listen, do you get that if we're going to make progress, we both make compromises, right? So I'm asking for a real basic one, which is agree with me about a simple factual statement. This is a lighter, right? You'd agree, wouldn't you? Okay, if you can't do that, then you are not able or willing to work with me at all.
Talking like a child.
Then work with me. I'll bet. Be on my team. You're against me and everything I'm doing. You have a choice.
My choice is I'm not going to partake right now.
Just think about it. Kimberly, I think I see where you say that he is disingenuous about his actions. I don't think he's being disingenuous about anything, but rather he realizes that the acts are ways to show care. The words are ways to show that you're on a team, right? She can find things that she wants me to agree with, and I will help her craft those statements into statements I can agree with. so that we can be on the same team again. But she won't agree with even factual statements that nobody would dispute, because then she'd be letting me win in some capacity. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to have us be a team. The battle here is, do you want to be a team, or do you want to be two separate individuals who are at each other's throats all the time? Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, I understand that pride might be getting in the way, but the thing is, the best way to maintain your sort of dignity is to be willing to show some humility. You know, people who are genuinely dignified are able and willing to show some humility. They're able to learn from other people. I'm able to learn from people. I learn from people all the time. Yeah, we're fighting on the internet, Jane Doe. We're fighting on the internet. And I don't know if I think we sort of like reached the core of the issue here. I'm suggesting that to make progress, I need Kimberly to work with me or ask me to work with her, one of the two. I could work with her if she's got a genuine good plan of goodwill. I have no problem with it. But one way that she could work with me is by agreeing with statements that I make. If I'm looking for agreement, to practice agreeing with me or finding things she can agree with. So if I say, this is a lighter, isn't it? Even if she doesn't want to agree it's a lighter, she can say, well, I agree it's a fire-making device. Then she's working with me because now she's finding something about it to agree with. But I can't get her to agree with anything. Why do you keep saying that, Adam Hunt? What is your point? So, she's saying, no matter what you do or say, Eric, no matter how hard you try to solve this problem, I will be swimming the other direction the whole time. You will not be able to, the boat has capsized, and I've righted it, and I'm trying to get us both back on the boat going the same direction again. But no matter what you do, Eric, I will keep jumping off that boat and swimming the opposite direction. I will not work with you. That's what it seems to me she's saying here. I refuse to have you lead this at all. You may not have any leadership, Eric. This is not why dual relationships don't work. There's nothing to do with duality. Nothing to do with it. Ask her to say something that I will agree on. Okay, you say something that I can agree with.
Eric, I don't want to do this.
Why not?
Because.
I know she's not a trained SEAL. She's a completely untrained SEAL. The thing is, we are two SEALs. And we don't have a trainer. We only have each other. And we've got to do a coordinated SEAL routine. But one of us neither wants to lead nor follow. I can follow. Okay, Cynthia, it seems condescending. Fine. I don't know how simple or more less of a demand I can make on somebody rhetorically than this is a pair of tweezers. If you can't agree with me about that, then I know you're not willing to work with me about anything. Because working with me means agreeing, finding ways for us both to actually agree, which means conceding some of your own wrongness and accepting some of the rightness of the other person. Well, of course it's not the same. What I'm saying is, if she can't agree about these concrete things, how will she ever be able to agree about emotional and abstract issues? Because all of that requires willingness. Willingness. Just like I could never stop being an alcoholic until I was willing to humble myself and listen. I've conceded countless wrongnesses, Jane Doe. You got here late to the party. It's been at least 5 or 6 that I've conceded, demonstrated the proper behavior in response to it multiple times, don't worry about it. I'm in the clear. Hello, Face Supreme. Hello, people of the interwebs. So at this point, you're just like, I refuse to participate in this anymore, Eric. I don't like it, and I'm not going to do it in front of an audience, and too bad for you. So, okay, it's Pure Milk. Okay. Well, let's end the live stream, and maybe we'll talk to Pure Milk on the phone instead. All right, see you guys later.